This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Gotta love that. Shout out to my boy, Ryan Casper. Gave me that when we started out the Bitcoin Otter Show. Thanks, Ryan. That was quite a gift. We're still using it. Gotta love it. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, greetings, blessings, and good fortune. I love being among you. I'm, of course, at the Otter's Doghouse right now. So we had some scheduling conflicts and so forth. So we the studio is out for today. We need 2 people to run that. We only need 1 to run this. So here we are. Now, it's 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We have some things to cover, ladies and gentlemen. But I want you to know that I have right here in front of me all the chats. I got the chats coming up. What I want to see is maximum engagement, organization, and all that. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we will talk about it. But I have my Bitcoin Otter show notes, 8 pages of which I will be bringing content that I think you're interested in right to you. Now, if you're not, that's fine. I'll shift. There's so much stuff that is going on right now that what we really have is, I don't know, a change of guard, right? Trump in, communists out, a change of zeitgeist, right? It's no longer, hey, we're world citizens. Now it is America first. America first, baby. Okay? We want a future for our kids. We want great things for them. Okay? That's what we want. And we know that that is what's coming. Anyway, I would like to tell you a little bit of our economic barometer. Earlier today, not too long ago, a couple hours, I saw Bitcoin was at $112,000 for one of those. Silver is at $39.30 an ounce. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not sleep on silver. It's not going to be this low for very much longer. And when it does pop, you're going to be going, oh man, I should have, could have, would have. Gold, $3,428 an ounce. Still a good investment, but my humble opinion, I am not a financial advisor, and none of this is financial advice, but silver is the way to go, in my opinion, for many different reasons, right? Many different reasons that I've spoken about before. I'll mention them again. If you guys want to throw something up in the comment section there, I'll be glad to review that. Now, verse of the day, ladies and gentlemen. This is one I love, one of my favorites, and I got a lot of favorites. This is from Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And I've mentioned before that the Bitcoin Otter Private Membership Association is a ministry. And if I can in any way lead someone, anyone, people, more than one, to what I have found to be the truth, I'll do it. Now, if you don't agree with me, that's fine too. We can agree to disagree. But the fact of the matter is this. I truly appreciate the time here that we have together. So when I appreciate time with people that I care about, like you all, I also share things that I appreciate that will hopefully make your lives better. That's why I started this show. Now, we're going to go into a little bit of the crypto stuff because there's a lot, a lot of stuff is going on. And not only is it going on, it is happening so quickly that it's really difficult to chase. It's difficult to keep track of. And even I have, this show is an hour long. There's so many things happen this week that we can barely touch on. And that's why I love it when we get, engagement through the chat and so forth, because it's what you want to talk about. It's what's hitting you where you live. that I find as important as what hits me where I live. So this is going on some interesting, very interesting crypto news. So what we have is the fact that the U.S. government, this is according to Cointelegraph, okay? Cointelegraph. U.S. government taps Chainlink and Pyth. I think Pyth is short for Python. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. Please throw up a comment if you think so. To publish economic data on chain. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, but I have mentioned prior how I believe it would be such a benefit to the American people to have government transactions on blockchain. What am I talking about? And this is the actual article doesn't go into this, but I want to preface the article with this. If the criminals in Washington had to be transparent about the way they steal, spend, and waste our money, they wouldn't be there very long, would they? No, they wouldn't. What is blockchain, the right kind of blockchain, about? Well, it's about transparency. You can't hide something on a correctly built blockchain, okay? You have a record of it going back since it was established. And I would imagine, I don't know much about it, but I would imagine you could upload things that would add to, so such as, what I'm getting at is the history of a department. Let's say you have the Department of Education, and the Department of Education has a wallet, right? So we got a wallet for the Department of Education right here. It is open, meaning you, me, we can go in and see the Explorer, the ledger. Where is the money? Where did the money come from? Where did the money go? Who authorized it? And how much? Ladies and gentlemen, that is transparency. Imagine if the U.S. government were run on the blockchain. Well, I think some people have. So this is again from Cointelegraph. The U.S. government announced on Tuesday that it's publishing economic data on chain to boost transparency for government spending. The U.S. government has tapped Chainlink and Pyth, two blockchain oracle providers, to publish economic data on chain. Now, this is not quite as I imagined it, but we're getting somewhere, aren't we? Chainlink was selected to provide data feeds from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, BEA, and will publish additional data feeds in response to consumer demand. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about. Not just consumer demand, but citizen demand. This is our country. This is us. We the people. And especially in his inauguration address of 2016, maybe in 2024, it should have been one in 2020, right? But anyway, he's telling us, as with his actions, as they go forward, the power is going back to the people. Now, Chainlink was, let's see what that one. These feeds include real gross domestic product, personal consumption expenditures. Now, I hope that means personal as in, I'm not sure. Anybody got anything? Throw it up in the chats. I got them up right here. But I don't think that's you and me. I'm hoping it's individual politicians. That would be ideal. These feeds include and the price index and real final sales to private domestic purchasers, the company said. All right, that's a start. We'll see what happens. Pyth was also selected by the Department of Commerce. Don't hear a lot about them, do we? To be a publisher of gross domestic product data, the total economic output in a year, according to an announcement Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, things are moving forward apace. And we, I think, are going into a place where we can see more and more of our productivity and our opportunities in front of us. So why not get our stuff in order, if you will? And why don't we have something in some way going for us instead of against us like we have all the time in our country. I mean, there's always something against us. There's always some, pencil pusher against us. What is it that we need to do to get rid of these people? Transparency. Let's see what they are doing. We know they spy on us. We know they spy on us. You don't think they listen to our phone calls? You don't think they watch us in the cameras? I got one of those little dots. I don't know if you guys see it. Right there. It blocks my front camera. I just don't want to watch me all the time. So anyway, we know they're watching us. We know they're listening to us. Why don't we get some insight on what they're doing to us? I think that's a good idea. U.S. regulator, another government issue, right? Opens pathway for Americans to trade on offshore crypto exchanges. I've mentioned this in the past. My favorite crypto exchange was KuCoin. It is based in the Seychelles. I can't go to a map right now and point my finger to it, but I can tell you it's a chain of islands. Yeah. I learned that from a video game. Anyway, this change is part of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission's Crypto Sprint, the CFTC, an evil organization if there ever was one. Crypto Sprint. Let's see where this is going. An initiative to overhaul regulations in response to proposals from the Trump administration. Well. I think that's a move in the right direction. I think we're going in the right direction. And when they say a crypto sprint, well, hopefully that means that we're sprinting in the direction of not only a better crypto future for we the people, but a better crypto adoption. And that's what, right, we as basic people, that's what we want to see. We want to see these things. So I'm seeing some comments in the Bitcoin Otter feed, but they're not popping up here on I believe that's Eva. Hello, Eva. Glad to see you. Glad to see you're watching. Bienvenido al show. And I'm not seeing them necessarily coming up on the feed here. So Sue's on. She says, just think of all the bathroom activity they get to listen to. Yes. There's people on X, formerly Twitter, that have very gross views of that. Grosser than even that, Sue. There are things that we don't want people seeing that we do. We all do them, right? But we don't want them to see. But, as long as you're not a problem, those will just reside in somebody's computer on maybe AWS or Google or whatever. But if you become a problem to the establishment, the system, oh man, that stuff's fair game. You're fair game. So we're going to avoid that stuff by all means. Now, acting CFTC, again, Commodity Futures Trading Commission. She's basically the director, Caroline Pham, said in a statement, starting now, the CFTC welcomes back Americans. Whoa. We didn't go anywhere, lady. You kicked us out of those foreign exchanges, okay? Because they were free. Not free so much in not paying. I'm talking about free with allowing us to trade in certain things, okay? To trade in legal things. Why are they legal? Because we want to do it. We're in control. Thank you. So, starting now, they welcome back Americans who want to trade efficiently and safely under CFTC regulations. I don't necessarily want that, Caroline. I don't give a rat's patootie about your regulations. I want freedom. Am I channeling a little bit of William Wallace? Anyway, it's just another example of how the CFTC, so she's advertising for a government agency. Puh, who cares? It's a government agency. Will continue to deliver wins for President Trump. Ah, there it is. There it is. As part of our crypto sprint. You see, we are having, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, we are having a little difficulty here. Not as, the show, we're having it as a nation. What do I mean by that? I mean, the difficulty arises that the entrenched swamp creatures, and we're going to get into one or more of those later, are not moving at the behest of the executive. Who is the executive? The man we voted into the executive office, Donald J. Trump. We voted him in expecting that he's going to move on these government swamp creatures. That was part of the expectation and part of the reason why we voted him in there. Okay? It would have been a landslide. It was a landslide victory. Imagine if the cheating wasn't in there. Well, I digress. Anyway, what I'm saying is our government is now moving to show us that they're finally obeying us. We're sick of obeying them. Sue says, you have to watch the newest version of War of the Worlds. Not Oscar-worthy, but it is about the government using data. Interesting. Okay, War of the Worlds. I'll check that out. I'm going to go into the design mode, and I'm going to see if we can have everybody see. I was messing around with this stuff earlier, and it worked. So I want to see if we can add the chat to what it is we're looking at here. And I had it, but then I lost it. You know, obviously I do have a day job. This is not my permanent job, but I want to do the best I can at it. I just can't see how I'm going to do it or how I did it earlier as I was messing around pre-show. So maybe it is you guys can see the chat and see what it is that everyone else is typing out there. And I enjoy that. But if I don't have that show on stream, let's see. Bada bing, bada boom. New comments will display here. There we go. All right. We got it. Now, you don't have to look at just this mug. You know, you get to look at the stuff that you guys are posting up there. All right. So that's good stuff. Now, we'll get more into this government compliance. Okay. See, we don't need necessarily to comply with government. They need to comply with us because we, the people, are in charge here. Hasn't been that way for a long time, I know. Crypto news. This is what they say. 5,000 plus blockchain firms already in the U.S. Is a global power shift underway? Ladies and gentlemen, I know not all of the viewers appreciate our executive, Donald J. Trump. But the reason I appreciate him, I admire him, I do not worship him. Jesus Christ is my one and only God. Just so you know, okay? The 3 in 1, all that. Yeah. He meant what he said when he said on multiple occasions, when he does say this, that America comes first. Why does America come first? For all you people who love international whatever, America comes first because America's foundation is the best. Why? Because America was built upon very basic tenets. The most basic are thousands of years old. We're talking common law. We're talking biblical law. We're talking common sense. And we're talking about liberty. Has it worked out that way? Oh, well, we've had a lot of bumps along the way. Why? Well, because we're human. And humans are corrupt in heart, sometimes in mind, sometimes in action. But if we stick to these fundamental truths that our founding fathers, okay, you can only see one, but I got 3 documents here, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Independence, Declaration of Independence, all that good stuff. I believe in these things. I live these things. I try to anyway. I don't just have them for show. Anyway, so when 5,000 plus blockchain firms come into the U.S., and they're already here, what does that mean, my opinion? It means that the future is here in America. Our kids are going to have the opportunity to be the tip of the spear, if you will. Our kids will have more opportunities than we ever had because when we grew up, the usual suspects were in charge, right? whatever you want to call them, the international criminal cartel, the cabal, the Khazarian mafia, Illuminati, whatever, a million words for it. But it's changing. And this article in Crypto News says something about that. The United States is quickly becoming a home base for blockchain and crypto companies that were previously based outside of the region. Why were they based outside of the region? Because the same people in the CFTC were pushing them away from the US, because they don't want you and me to realize that if we get into crypto, if we get into blockchain, we become free of their system. Sue says, unfortunately, they left loopholes in our Constitution to be exploited. Yes. Well, let me preface it by not only just a yes, but we can also flip that, Sue, because the system that allows for amendments allows for the closing of those loopholes, as well as, okay, let me get this straight here, as well as the opening of new pathways to freedom. It's a double-edged sword, I know, but freedom is sometimes messy. Freedom is sometimes dangerous, right? So we have that saying that goes something along the lines of those who sell freedom for safety never realize either. I'm paraphrasing, right? But the fact is, if you're wanting to be safe more than you are free, you're going to end up with neither. Because the people that take your freedom to give you safety will sometimes, and maybe always, make you unsafe. Okay? They will become the threat, which is the predatory government that we lived under. Now, to go on here, recent data from Crunchbase shows that over 5,000 blockchain companies are currently located in the US, yet this number is expected to grow as the Trump, the guy we elected, America. You know, I'm going to go on a little sidebar here. On Facebook, I see a lot of haters of Donald J. Trump. They call him Hitler. They call him a dictator. They call him all kinds of different things. And what does that say about them? Nothing good. Because you can't really back that with any type of real data. Oh, you could go a CNN clip, or you could go PBS, or you could go total tardation land if you want. You can really go full retard with that. But it's not true. It's just not true in no way, shape, or form. He's not a dictator. We put him there. Maybe you people who are watching TV didn't. But Americans who are paying attention to what's going on in our nation voted him in. Okay? On the other side, we have any number of people that are not Americans voting in our election. And there is proof for that. Don't have time right now to show you the receipts, but I have them. Bitcoin Otter at secure.com. Hit me up. I'll show you the receipts. So the administration seeks to position the U.S. as a global hub for digital assets, along with other things. This appears to be the case as SEC, Security and Exchange Commission Chair Paul Atkins called on the U.S. to reshore the crypto businesses that fled. Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Atkins also mentioned this during a speech given at the America First Policy Institute on July 31. Following this, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated on X that the U.S. has entered the golden age of crypto. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons why I do this show is because I think that crypto is going to recapture some freedom for us. You see, when you involve yourself in cryptocurrency, say what you will about risks and so forth, because there are such things as risks, right? You are creating a new banker in the world. And whatever your name is, it's you. Because you become the bank. Better said, you become your bank. Who better to be a bank of your money than you? Is there responsibility? Yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is responsibility. But it is also freedom. We are free to do this. That's why the Bitcoin Otter Private Membership Association was debanked, because the usual suspects issued out a blanket order to all Federal Reserve branches to get rid of people that dealt in any way or form with blockchain assets, crypto assets, which of course Bitcoin Otter PMA does. So I was debanked. Now I'm not. Old Glory Bank if you're interested in free banking, not free as in price, but free as in liberty, Old Glory Bank might just be your people. So the golden age of crypto, and issued a direct call to builders to start your companies here, launch your protocols here, and hire your workers here. Ladies and gentlemen, they are serious about making America first and best. Let's see how this works out. Zero Hedge. Oh, this is a good one. The CDC director, Susan Monares, ousted in vaccine policy clash with RFK Jr. 4 top officials quit in leadership crisis. It's not a crisis of leadership, okay? It's a crisis of criminality when we're talking about these CDC people. I indict them. The court of the Otter indicts them for crimes against humanity. And I have many receipts, okay? Doctors' receipts, not just me. I am no doctor, I'll have you know. The Department of Health and Human Services announced on X late Wednesday that Susan Monares, the first Senate-confirmed director of the Center, what does Senate confirm mean? It means it's a lot more corrupt people than just in the CDC. Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, is no longer the director of the CDC. Isn't that good? I think so. Hours after HHS's X post, attorneys Mark Zaid and Abby Lowell wrote on the social media platform that Monares has neither resigned nor received notification from the White House that she has been fired. And as a person of integrity and devoted to science, see, they misspelled science in this article. You see that? I think you might be able to see it. There's no dollar sign. The modern spelling of science requires a dollar sign. If it's in the CDC, if it's on PBS, CNN, television, it needs a dollar sign, because that is what science in America, around the world, really means. It means money. It means that they got bonuses if you died of COVID. They got bonuses to call you a COVID patient. They got bonuses when you got in a motorcycle accident and died, and they said you died of COVID. They got a bonus. If they intubated you, they got a bonus. All right? Every jab that went into your arm, a bonus. Remdesivir, a bonus. It shuts your kidneys down, destroys your liver. It's a bonus. Give it to the guy. Science is spelled with a dollar sign, ladies and gentlemen, and it's disgusting. About this, in fact, it's on X. A guy, his name is, we're going to call him Hustle Beach. It's not Beach, but you know where I'm going with that. Hustle Beach wrote, and I'd like to have this, I'd like to see, the thing on the screen, but I don't have that right now. mRNA is perfectly safe for your kids. Who's that a quote of? That was CDC Director Susan Monares, who was fired today after just 4 weeks on the job. So Ms. Monares says that mRNA is perfectly safe for your kids. Ladies and gentlemen, you be the judge of that. Look up doctors, look up nurses, look up people of knowledge, not a news anchor, to get real information on this stuff. I'm not a doctor, but I certainly have checked out the information from real doctors, what they're saying about this mRNA stuff. Or you can go, again, we are free. We can go full retard, and I mean no offense at people that are unfortunately afflicted with mental retardation. You have all my sympathy and support. But those people who have a fully functional brain that refuse to use it and give all of their autonomy, their thoughtful autonomy to the television and the geeks on that screen, those people, I would say you people, but none of them watch this show. Those people, okay, need to realize at some point or another that Bill Gates, a software dealer, thief. Maybe he was a designer at one point, but usually he stole it. He doesn't know anything about vaccines, and he doesn't care about your kids. Why would you take anything other than what he says about the world population seriously? What do I mean by that? He wants to cull the herd. In his words, vaccines are great for world depopulation. We would like to see the world popular. Make it great again. Let's do good things, but let's start with America first, right? So, Hustle Beach says, I'll get with you in a second, Corinne. I see that popped up. That was CDC Director Susan Menares, who was fired after just 4 weeks on the job, and less than 24 hours after Bill Gates met with President Trump. What do you think happened in that meeting? What do you think happened when President Trump sat down with Bill Gates? You don't think he knows who Bill Gates is? Corinne says they dropped the charges against Michael Kirk Moore, the Utah doctor accused of destroying more than $28,000 worth of government-provided COVID-19 vaccines and administering saline to children instead of the shot. What a patriot that guy was. Thanks, Ren. What a patriot. He knew what it was. He's a doctor, and he's not corrupt. How do I know he's not corrupt? Because he didn't put the poison in the jab. It was just like an IV, saline solution. I think you're a little bit dehydrated. And bam, you're good. You're good. No poison this time. Come back for next visit. That's awesome. That's great. However, they put him up on charges, but Corinne just put up a nice little graphic here. They dropped the charges. I mean, really, wouldn't you rather have saline than poison? I know I would. Saline! Saline! Anyway, listen to this. In less than 24 hours after Bill Gates met with President Trump, CDC Director Susan Menares fired. In the vein of our well-loved Argentinian President Milei, afuera! CDC vaccine chief resigned, afuera! CDC chief medical officer resigned, afuera! Zoonotic division head resigned, whatever that is, afuera! Except he deceived his patients. Yes, Sue, I like that contrarian stance. He did deceive his patients. He did. They thought they were getting the jab, and they didn't get it. How do I liken this? It's a very good point. So I'd like to come up with some apropos analogy, and it's slipping me right now. But okay, and let's say that the former head of absolute nothing, Bill Gates, designed a protocol that would truly quickly depopulate the world, and it called for doctors to shoot somebody with a real gun in their doctor's office, and thereby depopulating the population of the world. And this brave doctor said, okay, I'll point the gun, I'll shoot the gun, but I want to have the gun empty on an empty chamber. And, the patient thinks they're being depopulated, but I'm going to deceive them and let them live. For those of you who are listening in your vehicle right now, I am smiling, a smile reminiscent of something that maybe Dumb or Dumber would have done. Meaning, I think it's okay. Deception, in this case, to me, helped them. You can argue it. I can take the other side. But, man, I'll sign up for that doctor any day. I would sign up for that doctor any day. And I bet you, I'm willing to bet that if that doctor saw something wrong with my health and he knew of a way that would help me and not hurt me, I don't think he would deceive me about that. Remember, their oath, do no harm. Do no harm. They chose to get the shot, free will. I agree. So are you intimating that there was criminality there, or was there a breach of confidence, or in what way? Or do you think maybe the charges that were levied against him were legitimate because he didn't give, the people under his care the recommended dosage of industrial waste or whatever it was? That I don't know. I know you're taking the contrarian approach, and I appreciate that. But I don't, I guess maybe we'll talk offline if you don't have, type of your fingers are probably going crazy right now, right? But anyway, that's how I think about it. They did choose to get the shot, but who in reality deceived them first? Double deception. Okay. The government deceived all of us. Some of us, however, saw through it. Definitely a breach of trust. Okay. What I would like to do, which would be almost impossible, is talk to the patients of the guy. See if they're pissed off. They want to take him to court because, well, they really wanted that stuff that Bill Gates recommends. Or have they done a little research and said, whoa, man, I like this guy. He really was looking out for me. I guess it's a basic individual decision or process. We'd have to talk to a bunch of them, I guess. I don't know. Now, we're about halfway through the show. And as you can see, we're not in the studio today, but we're going out on various different places. We're going out on the Bitcoin Outer YouTube, the Bitcoin Outer Facebook, the Christopher Ott Facebook, and The City, 97.7 FM, KCYP, The City out of McAllen, Texas. We're going off on their YouTube and Facebook. Glad to be with you. Reading the wonderful comments as they come out. And I do like a challenge, too. And I see your point. I won't deny its validity. I just think that this guy saved some lives, personally, or at least cut down the cases of myocarditis in his area. Lisa Cooked. I like that. I like what they did there at Zero Hedge. Lisa Cooked. In case you didn't know, Lisa Cook, okay, was a Fed governor. So the DOJ, to investigate, Fed governor urges her removal over alleged mortgage fraud. Mortgage fraud. That sounds familiar. Well, didn't somebody falsely bring charges against our president for mortgage fraud? Oh, that was Leticia James. And what is she embroiled in? Mortgage fraud. Wow. Do you think that these politicians that get into the Washington Beltway go to like a criminal 101 curriculum? Does Washington really teach you how to be a swamp creature? Is it a swamp creature you? I don't know. I don't know what even, maybe there's an initiation involved, something like that. But there's sure they really tend to be a lot of swamp creatures. And not very attractive ones either. The saga surrounding the upcoming termination of the Fed's DEI hire just escalated dramatically after the Justice Department announced it would investigate Fed Governor Lisa Cook after a top justice official informed Fed Chair Jerome Powell of the probe and encouraged him to remove her from the board in a letter sent Thursday. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte wrote a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi and Martin. Martin is the investigator in this, by the way. Ed Martin is his name. On August 15, suggesting that Cook may have committed a criminal offense. Well, of course she did. The letter alleged that Cook falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, potentially committing mortgage fraud under the criminal statute. Ladies and gentlemen, that is precisely what they accused Donald Trump of. Ladies and gentlemen, the swamp projects. When they call you something, it's because they are that something. When they accuse you of doing something, it's because they're doing that something. Yeah. DC grand jury refuses to indict sandwich-throwing former justice employee. You remember this guy? He wielded a Subway sandwich, and he threw it. So, in 1985, Sol Wachter the Chief Justice of New York Supreme Court, famously said, this was a famous thing, and we've seen it, I think, on every TV show you can watch about, American jurisprudence. Any good prosecutor can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, is what he said. Perhaps, but it appears that indicting someone for throwing a ham sandwich may be tougher than it would appear. A grand jury has reportedly refused to indict Sean Charles Dunn, 37, shown on video shouting obscenities at Customs and Border Protection agents standing near the 14th and U Streets on August 10th, and then striking an officer with a wrapped sandwich. Yeah. So was it assault? Was it not assault? I don't know. He wanted notoriety, whatever. And this guy who wrote this article, Jonathan Turley, says this: as I, Jonathan Turley, previously noted, Dunn created this incident and wanted the notoriety. He succeeded. I expect there will be a GoFundMe effort to cover his legal costs, and he will enjoy a certain celebrity status. However, while this is not a significant assault, it is an assault on an officer. In case anyone didn't know, that's Title 18, 111, just in case you didn't know. While he may have been a protester, neither he nor his sandwich qualifies as a hero. I like that, John. I like that. That was interesting. In case you didn't know, maybe you're in the South. In the North, they sometimes call Subway sandwiches, not the corporation Subway, but a sub sandwich, a hero. Yeah. Washington mayor credits federal surge for, wait a minute. Do you all know who the Washington, D.C. mayor is? Maybe Bowser rings a bell? Bowser. She was one of the two people that ensured that the insurrection against the sitting president, Donald Trump, occurred on January 6th. How do I mean that? Donald Trump approved National Guard to keep the peace. That was one of three prongs that are necessary to were necessary prior to this last week to basically deploy them in the Washington, D.C., which is a federal zone area. Bowser and Pelosi refused because they knew what was coming. They knew that Trans-Tifa, BLM, even some of the Azov Nazis from Ukraine were there in the crowd dressed as Trump supporters to create havoc. They knew that the Capitol Police were going to fire incendiary grenades in the middle of the crowd so that the crowd would rush the barrier, forming a riot. They knew that other Capitol Police officers ready to pummel to death women like Roseanne Boylan in tunnels, which happened. That was it all occurred. It all occurred. So Bowser says, and this is interesting. I don't know where she's going with this. Maybe she thinks she's going to get leniency. Hopefully not. She said that districts will continue to need more police, prosecutors, and judges, more effective prevention programs. We need to ensure local control. You think? Oh, she also said on Wednesday that having masked immigration customs enforcement ICE agents in the community has not worked. Oh, it has, Bowsy. It has. And the reason why they're masked is because communists are doxing them and their families. Yes, federal agents, they're being doxed. So people are basically completely flouting 18 USC, United States Code 111, which says that, it's unlawful, illegal even, to abuse or assault a federal officer. Well, they're doing just that. The same guy with the sandwich, right? But they're basically showing the names of these federal agents. And that's why they have the masks on. That's why the people in January 6th had masks on, right? That's why the people who burn cities down have masks on, right? Whatever. The Gateway Pundit says Alligator Alcatraz, one of our favorite places here on this show, to be emptied out in a few days after Obama Judge Hussein orders facility to be dismantled. Does this surprise anyone? No, it doesn't surprise any of us. Alligator Alcatraz will be emptied out in a few days after an Obama judge ordered the facility to be dismantled. Didn't we just say that? I should have excised that. Gateway Pundit, please get on this, please. Last week, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams, I'm sure an upstanding communist of her own way, in her own way, an Obama appointee, barred the Trump administration from bringing new illegal alien detainees into Alligator Alcatraz. She also ordered the facility to be dismantled within 60 days. Why? Because it works for America. Alligator Alcatraz is a detention center for illegal aliens, many of whom are rapists, murderers, and designated foreign terrorists. The facility, which opened last month at the direction of Governor Ron DeSantis, is surrounded by Florida's natural defenses, including alligators, pythons, and dense swampland in the Florida Everglades. Great place for a prison, I'll tell you. Detention center, whatever you want to call it. Earlier this month, Judge Williams cited environmental violations. Yeah. Environmental violations. What a judge. For her 2-week pause on future construction. They use that all the time, those freaks. Here's a good one. And something that we have a little bit of time. Something that I will, how would you put it? I'll magnify the point on this one. White House says Trump won't give additional 600,000 student visas to Chinese, but will give 600,000 visas over 2 years in continuation of existing policy. Do you remember that in the last week or so when this news broke, Trump's going to give 600,000 student visas to Chinese so they could come in and be spies and set up shop near military bases and buy American property and all that, right? That was all out there. Why? Because it has happened. It has happened. However, is that really what Donald Trump meant when he deployed this narrative? No, it wasn't. Why did he deploy such a narrative? Because we're in 5th generational warfare, ladies and gentlemen. He got people abuzz. He got people to question him because he's not afraid of being questioned. 1. 2, it highlights the issue. He's like a firebrand. He's a lightning rod. Information just goes to them. Dan Bauer says only the Chinese benefit from this. Yes. And that's why Trump deployed the narrative. Because he knew people would talk about it. If it's against Trump, people are going to talk about it. Trump is on the Epstein list. What are they going to do? Talk about the Epstein list. Talk about Donald Trump. He ordered them. Don't write about it. Don't talk about it. What did they do? They wrote about it and they talked about it. This 600,000 Chinamen and women, I don't know if that's the proper nomenclature. Shout out to you Big Lebowski fans. But let me read this a little bit here. White House spokesperson told Fox News President Trump isn't proposing an increase in student visas for Chinese students. But it was vague enough for people to believe that, wasn't it? When the initial narrative was deployed, it was vague enough for people to think that he did intend that. And that was the intention. Are you following me? The 600,000 references 2 years worth of visas. It's simply a continuation of existing policy. What does he want us to talk about? He wants us to talk about reconsidering existing policy so that when he cuts down the number from 600,000 to maybe 6, he's doing it at the behest of who? We, the people. Can you see the genius, ladies and gentlemen? Can you understand how the master, the maestro, is playing the game? When he makes the decision he's going to make, it's because the people want it. Why do the people want it? Because he deployed the narrative in such a way that they made it a point of attention. Paco! Mask up for a made-up virus, bad. Mask up to protect their identity, bad? I don't get it. Exactly. Thank you, Paco. Couldn't have said it better myself. Right? So, and let me see if I can, parlay this into something right along that same avenue. if there was a new variant, whatever they call it, Washington, D.C. Bat virus, they would want everybody masked, right? Including the federal agents, because, well, they're not above the law. They're not above the law. They must be masked. But when it's just to protect themselves from communism, that's not enough. They got to protect themselves from a made-up virus. They got to protect themselves from fiction that we make up. Am I along that line, Paco? I hope I'm hitting it, because you made a very cogent comment there. So, Donald Trump, as the Gateway Pundit reported, ignited backlash after announcing that his administration will allow up to 600,000 Chinese students to study at American universities. He wants the backlash, ladies and gentlemen. Please understand this. This goes deeper than television watchers are able to go. But I know you are not television watchers. I know you can handle this because you're watching this show. He does this on purpose. He wants and needs the support of we the people. Okay? And to get that, thank you, Paco. To get that, okay, he needs people to initiate propositions upon which he will bring forth legislation via the legislative branch, or if that's too corrupt, an executive order. Okay? And then he'll fight the judges, the communist judges like what's-her-name Williams, all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court lately has been delivering good rulings, okay? By the term good, I mean constitutional rulings, okay? So when we see that these various different topics, okay, go all the way up to the very highest of legal, I guess, institutions, Supreme Court, and then there's a ruling. It's all by design. Let me give you an example, okay? When Donald Trump didn't want to show his taxes, he didn't want to show them, not because there was something that he was hiding there or he didn't pay. He didn't want to show them at the demand of communists. So he knew that in a matter of time, they would be investigating all these criminals. And there are former presidents, many of them. Can we say Bush? Can we say Hussein? Can we say Clinton? Okay, we can say all those names, and even further back. Okay, but here's the point. That issue went up to the Supreme Court and was ruled on that, yes, we can see the tax data of former presidents. Now we have what is called precedents. The same thing, okay, with the raid on his house. FBI raided his house. Never been done to a former president. They did it to this one because he's America first. They raided it. Now it is permissible. You hear that, Hussein? You hear that, Bush? You hear that, Clinton? Zzz. Well, I don't know that they watch this show, but I'll tell you what. I hope it happens. I hope it happens. Let's see. We got about 5 minutes left. So, yes, another successful narrative deployment by the master, Donald J. Trump. This one basically resulting in Americans demanding that we change the current policy of this student visa thing. How do you think Hussein got in? If you really look at the information, Barack Hussein Obama came in with a student visa. He's not an American citizen. A former FBI document examiner, I can't remember the guy's name. There's a rabbit hole here. Look it up. He determined, and it's obvious when you look at it and see his study, that the full-length birth certificate from Hawaii was completely fabricated. I don't know. Anyway, Kash Patel confirms Minnesota church shooting by radical transgender suspect an act of domestic terrorism. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's an act of domestic terrorism. Okay? Unfortunately, these events will continue. Why? Because the deep state is abysmally losing control of the narratives. The master is at work. of events, right? We, the people, are beginning to take our rightful place as, rulers of this country. They have to lash back. And things like this are going to happen more often because, yes, they are domestic terrorists when they're spun up by the usual suspects. And on our last, but not least, for today, story, Cracker Barrel now races to ditch its ugly woke past after restoring old logo, including removing its Pride page on website. If you have not been under a rock this week, you know that the Cracker Barrel, I like their chicken fried steak. I like Cracker Barrel's chicken fried steak personally. The coffee is okay. But, the down-home guy on the Cracker Barrel hanging out there, for woke people, that just burns in their psyche. They don't want to see that. There's no rainbow there. No children's genitals are being chopped off. They're not being chemically castrated. It's just not right for them. There's something wrong with it. Why? Because it's traditional and wholesome. They don't want traditional values. They want deadly ones that destroy humanity. They're Bill Gates kind of people. Crimes against humanity. Do you really think this is over the top, what I'm saying? Hyperbole, if you will? I am not meaning it that way. I'm telling you the truth. We are in a spiritual battle, ladies and gentlemen. Spiritual. In its roots, this battle we're in is against good versus evil. Pick your side. Pick your side. Because it's going to get ugly and it's going to take prisoners. And those prisoners are going in one direction or the other. Okay? It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen, for me to sign off. I appreciate all of these comments. I appreciate your attention. Those of you that are listening in the future, sometime not between 6 and 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on Thursday, I appreciate you tuning in. Throw up some comments because they will reach me on Facebook, at least, and I will address them, just like these very pertinent comments here by Sue, Corinne, Dan, and Paco, hitting the nail on the head. Because you're not watching TV. You're free. Your mind is free to think. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for attention on these matters. And until next week, may God bless you. May God bless your families. And may God bless America. Because we are the city on a hill, ladies and gentlemen. We are the light that will hopefully bring this world back to life and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you. Have a great week.